What do you want me to talk about? Give me a subject.
We're all your subjects.
Well, I guess I'll talk about myself. I was born early in life and resented it every moment since. Welcome.
Is Jerry recording this? Are you recording this?
We forgot.
Recording in progress.
Is there anything special anybody wants me to talk about? My love life. What I had to eat for breakfast yesterday. There must be some burning question in you. Like, why are you here?
Can I ask? Hello.
Go ahead.
There are two questions. I don't know if they're connected. One is why Ramana said you could say I, and the other one is to do with Robert giving a meditation for I am. And I spend all my time at night nearly awake, and I don't understand why I would be saying I or I am when there's no I, when there's no, I don't understand about I or
Well,
I.
when you use the term I, what does that point to? What does the I point to? Your body, your mind, your emptiness,
Well,
your awareness?
Well, there's the little me, and then there's
don't get too complicated. When you're speaking in everyday life, how do you use I?
My mind and my body in everyday life.
Well, there's something closer to you than that.
Yes.
What is it?
Who I am. I am.
What's the feeling?
It's a feeling here.
So when you say I, what is it pointing to? What is it directing your attention to? Okay.
Feeling here.
Okay. For me, I have primarily, when I'm talking to you now, a global sense of presence centered here, right here. And there's an emptiness inside. And I'm aware of this emptiness. I identify with this emptiness. So that's what it points to when I use the term I. My inner sense of emptiness, my perception of emptiness, which is a kind of hollow feeling. And the I-ness points to my sense of presence, that I'm alive and here. So each of us should investigate what the word I points to for you. When you use the term I, where is it directing your attention? To me, It's more or less my upper body and the strong sense of presence that I have there. There's not a sense of ownership of an I-ness, like it belongs exclusively to me. But the sense of presence, I assume, is pretty universal. But in my experience, my own sense of presence is what I refer to as I. I'm here, I'm alive, I'm aware. And that's what we try to capture when we say I, or we meditate on I, is the sense of presence within emptiness. The emptiness of our internal state that's not filled with things going on in our mind, but it's empty, at rest. And in that rest pops up a little sense of self, which when you focus on it, expands and contains your entire body and everything else physical around you. It doesn't really contain the mind at all, because I think it is of the mind, so it can't grasp itself. That's just a speculation, but that's how I perceive it. Who would dare call during satsang?
Unknown.
Call from name unavailable. Okay. Turn your attention inwards as best you can into the area of your thorax, of the upper body. What do you find there? I find nothing. But in that nothingness, it's not really in it, it's separate. It's kind of my own sense of presence, of being alive and well and having my own body. I'm not aware of a differentiation between I and my body experience, but it's as if the I points to my experience of the internal way I perceive my own body, and not the world, my own body, my own sense of presence. And what Robert means by this and others is to dwell inside in your own sense of presence as much as possible until it grows on you. And in a sense, too, that focusing on that sense of presence makes it feel stronger. It's not a weak thing anymore, but it becomes the focus of your attention, and by that, it becomes more and more powerful, invested by your concentration or your awareness of it. So when he says to focus on I, or who am I? Who am I is to direct your attention to the idea that you're an individual, but you're some sort of spatial entity also, one that hears and sees and responds and gets angry and gets sad and so forth. And it points your attention inwards instead of outwards, like most of us are preoccupied by what's going around us, and our minds are always talking about and commenting on what's going on around us. And the principle of this practice, the idea is to get your mind to stop doing that and instead turn the mind inwards towards your sense of presence or your I-ness, however you want to put it, whatever works for you. But it's just to invert your attention. Instead of going outwards, it goes inwards. And there's imaginary internal body sensations going on too. But for me, most of all, there's an overwhelming emptiness that extends everywhere, including inside my body. Try it. You find your I. You find that sense of presence, of being alive, of being a human, being a sentient being, and being aware of yourself, your body, and what's going on inside, that sense of presence. That sense of presence is really essential to spiritual practice because it gets your attention off of the external world and pins it firmly, at least one part of your awareness, on the self. The self being that sense of presence. In a sense, we can say that the self contains all activity. Everything we do is in the self. We're aware of it. It happens to us. And with practice over time, you become increasingly aware of your feelings, what your body is doing, how it feels, as well as internal and eternal emptiness, which lies at the center and the periphery of our existence, and which penetrates everything and surrounds everything. And this emptiness becomes more and more important, more than any sensation or of any object that we can experience in our consciousness. The whole field is flooded by emptiness. And the emptiness takes away all of our desire to do activity because there's nothing there. There's nothing to focus your attention on or to do. And your sense of presence and your mind, your attention, converge and become one. And there's an enormous peace in there that's to be found by continuing to focus inwardly, even inside the feeling of our body. It's inside of everything. It's the deepest we can go in awareness at the center. And at the center, it's just emptiness surrounded by shadowy existence, which we become aware of. And even within that emptiness, there's all kinds of things that move in consciousness, which can't be given a name. They just keep moving and moving until you get to a silent state where there's nothing but happiness. And it's the feeling of yourself without any bother going on inside of you, any distraction going on in you. And you just like sitting in yourself to feel yourself. Do you like sitting in yourself to feel yourself? Or would you rather feel the girl next door or the boy next door? Does your mind go to relationships and interpersonal activities? Or can you just get it off of that and just focus on yourself, your beingness, and how it manifests, and how it feels, until beingness floods everything. Your beingness contains everything. All of your thoughts, it contains your body, your experience of your body. Your experience of your body contains everything, and including the body. Does that give you some idea of what we're doing when we say focus on the self or on your I-ness? It means turn your attention around, away from the external world, including the pain in your butt or your back from sitting, and go inwards into emptiness, progressively empty, losing all form, all appearances, and just sitting at rest in emptiness and in peace and in happiness. It took me quite a long time to practice inwardness without some sort of object in mind, some sort of process or some goal. Was I doing it right? Was I doing it wrong? Do I turn it to the left or turn it to the right, or things like that constantly? But it's really very simple. You just turn your attention inwards instead of outwards. And that more or less is the complete beginning and end of instructions. Just become inwardly aware of your body, aware of the feeling of the body. Be aware of your sense of presence or existence in the world. Be aware of the emptiness which permeates everything. And being aware of the emptiness and becoming more and more relaxed frees you from the world. You're not so taken by the world anymore. You find yourself more interesting than the world, because for the first time you're paying more attention to yourself than you are to all the activities of the world. The world is unimportant. You've got a new mission in life. It's to know yourself and explore your internal experiences. So you're no longer working to progress in the world in any way, to worry about making money or to get a better job or to realize something or other, some concept, some understanding, some field of inquiry. Because your field of inquiry is you. And this is a different kind of exploration. Normally, an exploration covers every detail of the path taken and describes everything encountered and everything as it's experienced. But here, we just center on the self and look for the looker. Who's the looker? Who's the feeler? Who's the hearer? Who's the smeller? Always going inward and settling into that darkness and that emptiness, that vast emptiness that even permeates our own self, our own body. Now, are you aware of that emptiness? Is this a foreign concept to you, or are you well aware of it? You have to become well aware of it till it's the most important thing in your life. That sense of presence and resting in your own presence, in your own existence. With your attention turned inwardly towards the body and your mind and your feelings. You just rest there, not thinking, just resting in the self, yourself. Forget for a moment the things you know about yourself, because they're totally irrelevant. We're talking about a first-person experience directly, not about an understanding or a concept or a focus on the mind or anything. Is this clear to everyone? Is there anyone that this is not clear to? And at first, you probably say to yourself, what's so special about this state? It's your fundamental state. It's your primary state out of which everything else is added on to. But we don't pay any attention to it. We watch the moving things, the things that have some sort of glimmer or attract us. We don't focus on us. We don't even know ourselves. We have no idea what we are. What we are is only a concept to you because you don't have a direct experience of resting in yourself as nothingness, as emptiness, empty awareness. I can talk and talk and talk. But the important thing is to turn your attention around 180 degrees from concentrating on what's out there to what's in here. And not only that, how we perceive ourselves. How do we perceive our own aliveness, our own sense of presence? I'm not talking about the body anymore. I'm talking about our feeling of being alive, doing nothing. It's that life force which underlies everything we do or perceive. We attend to the life force in us. We look inside with our eyes closed and imaginatively look inside and also feel inside at the same time. Is there any point inside of us that is hurting or wants to be noticed? Notice it, but learn to rest inside of yourself. After you explore yourself for many days or weeks, when you first start practicing inwardness, you let go of all of the extraneous things and just attend to one's own sense of presence. I am. I am. I am. So it's not attending to an I like a point, because the I extends everywhere. It permeates everything inside. I'm not talking about objectively, but subjectively. Examine your own experience. Find out where you're located. Are you spread out all over? Or do you have a definite center? May not be a point, it might be your sense of your body or your sense of presence, which is universal. For me, it's my own awareness of being alive in this body. And I've just experienced myself in silence. I don't try to analyze it. I don't try to look at it and understand it. I just sit in it without trying to understand it. The desire to understand is an impediment to self-realization. Self-realization is when you can just rest in your own sense of existence, presence, and be there unmoving and let all pass through you, not paying much attention to the things that happen to you or even your sense of presence, but the stillness that underlines all objects of any kind of all. I'm trying to think of the word. All mental movement. Our sense of presence. I don't even know how to describe where it is or what it is. I take it as a given. Can you sense your own sense of presence? Do you know what I mean by the term? Everybody is rushing to answer that, and therefore I understand that most of you know what I'm talking about. It's you. Resting your attention in you, and not just your body, but your own sense of presence, of being alive, of existing. It's so impermanent. When it lasts 70, 90, 100 years, then it's gone. And the sense of presence has activities associated with others like yourself. Communications. Communications become one spot of awareness talking to another spot of awareness that's separate. You know that you're speaking from a place of subjectivity to something that it appears to be an object, a body, with eyes and activities and speaking and so forth. But you're not aware of the internal world of that other person. You're only aware of your own internal world, which embraces all other things out there, all objective things, underlying all of those objective experiences, your subjectivity, yourself. Feel yourself. Sit comfortably. Just feel yourself. Sometimes you might feel like falling backwards into yourself, as if you're separated from yourself now. But when you make the effort, you can fall backwards into yourself and, in a sense, occupy your own body and make it your home. And just stay in that sense of presence. That's meditation. That's the real definition of meditation. It's your fundamental state in the sense that it lies prior to any kind of experience, either internal or external. Your sense of presence supports your body and your mind. Without it, you would have no way to orient yourself in any way. So sit in yourself. Sit in your own beingness. If you want for a while, examine and search into your own sense of beingness and see what you can see. Do that till you really begin to know it. And when you know it, so to speak, just identify yourself with it. And keep being aware of both the world and your internal world simultaneously, as well as your own sense of presence. That sort of permeates everything. Your sense of presence is very precious. Everything you know, everything you experience is done within this sense of presence. Intellectually, you know you're a body, a sentient being. And you know that there's a way of examining your experience that is unlike anything you experience in the objective world, because it's the source of your perception of that objective world. And thus you continue to go deeper and deeper inside yourself over the years as you just practice going inwards, until it's so easy to go inwards and find a place of profound rest and peace that you don't feel like moving. Long gone are the days when you just sat and you didn't know what to do with yourself or felt restless. Now, when you sit in yourself and you're aware of yourself, you're self-realized. And everything is transformed. You're now in a state of perfect accomplishment, and as well as doing nothing. Who would know that if you do nothing, completely do nothing, you gain the whole universe? You're no longer narrowed down to being Catherine or Ed or Chris or Eric or Mark or Veselina. Instead, you're something else entirely. You're your own sense of presence, of being alive, of existing, which escapes most of us because it's such a common experience. We all have it from the beginning of our life. Babies begin to explore it, not with a exploring attitude of measuring and looking. That's more or less what we do after we grow up and we find out that's how the mind works best. But they just live it. They just live their sense of presence. The sense of presence is everything. And then they get to rest when they go to sleep, and it's not everything anymore. It just disappears. Now, what I feel now, it's so hard to describe. I feel a great peace, which is actually centered in my body, but pervades everywhere. I feel my body. I hear everything that happens around me. An airplane going overhead, a car driving down the street, a child playing in the distance, yelling. And I just rest in peace, experiencing the external world. You begin thinking about what this experience means. Emptiness is everywhere, it pervades everything. Your own sense of presence also has expanded, gone outwards to include everything in your experience. You're no longer such and such, confined to a body or to a mind. You feel great power, too, penetrating into that sense of presence. There's a stability that comes, which is so profound, it makes you feel like a boulder or a mountain. I remember when I first began to practice this way, I had no understanding of what I was at all. But now in this state, I have no need to know that, because as far as I'm concerned, there is no other but me. I expand to include everything in my existence. And the more you sit, the more you can command your own still awareness. And with that, a sense of power. That comes with owning your entire sense of presence. Because in a sense, you own all experience. And even the totality of experience itself is yours. You have created the world. You created the world that you know. That's your experience. And you realize how powerful you are. Feel your presence. Feel your existence. Feel yourself. Feel your own energy. Be aware of your own awareness. I noticed too. That one can lose concentration on one's inner being. And when that happens, you go to sleep. Or I go to sleep. But when I re-alert myself, I'm back in existence. Okay. I hope this was successfully recorded by somebody besides myself, because it was an important satsang. I guided you through a deep kind of meditation to your very fundamental existence, if you followed it. And you can listen to this satsang at any time to direct and guide your meditation toward yourself, 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 which in you finds an existential instantiation. You're one example of a field of awareness. You can ask yourself when you're there again, or approaching it, or think back now to where you were. Where were you? Did you have a location? Did your body disappear? Did you strongly feel your own existence? And when you felt it, did you feel it spread throughout your whole body? Or mostly in your heart? This has been a fundamental satsang. The whole path has been laid out. Path backwards into yourself. The next step is just to learn to rest in yourself. And you won't want to move. Because the experience is so delightful. Normally, we talk now. But I think it's best just to end it here. For those who are staying in meditation, to just stay there in yourself, enjoying yourself, being aware of yourself. I'll try to post this in the next few days. I don't know where I'm going to post it, but I'd like for people to have access to it, including myself. Bye-bye. Stay in meditation as long as you can.
Recording stopped.